Pete Carroll has come in and improved the Las Vegas Raiders roster through trade, free agency, and the draft. Of course, some of the moves were made because there's a clear immediate need at a certain position, and it's obvious the player is going to come in and start at that position. Like Geno Smith will be starting at quarterback for the Raiders this coming season. It's also more than obvious that number 6 overall pick Ashton Jeanty is going to start. Then there are other players that have been here, like edge rusher Max Crosby and left tackle Colton Miller, that are going to start at their positions. But there are a few positions that Carroll and GM John Spytek brought in competition for. That means there are some starters from last year that are going to have to fight for their positions. Some may have to fight for a spot on the team, period. Dylan Parham will be fighting for a starting right guard position and might be fighting for a roster spot too. Spytek brought in veteran Alex Coppa, who played well for him when they were with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he's a right guard. Parham is very small for a guard, so I suspect that's why he struggles with the bigger, more physically imposing interior defensive linemen in the NFL. You'd think run blocking would be his biggest problem, but it's pass protection that he has the most problems with the bigger interior defensive linemen. He has problems with the bull rush, and he's no match for Kansas City Chiefs interior defensive lineman Chris Jones. I think the previous regime saw Parham as more of a center, but with Jackson Powers Johnson on the team now, he can forget about that one. The arrival of Coppa definitely has his starting position under threat. His roster spot might be threatened too because the Raiders drafted Caleb Rogers, who could play both sides. Then there's Jordan Meredith on the left side. He's done nothing but handle his business since being inserted into the starting lineup last year. Right tackle DJ Glaze could be on the move to guard too. I don't remember if it was Carroll or Spytek that said Glaze will be in the mix for guard if he loses his right tackle spot. That tells you that the Raiders are already thinking about the possibility of Glaze not playing tackle. The previous regime drafted him with the possibility of playing guard, but an injury forced right tackle Thayer Munford out of the lineup and Glaze in there at right tackle. We'll see if he can make that jump to year 2, but he'll need a colossal jump to year 2. He didn't look pretty at right tackle at all last year. Munford is healthy now and wants his spot back, so he'll compete with Glaze for that right tackle spot. Third round pick Charles Grant is going to be in that right tackle competition too. It's hard to say how Grant will do in this competition though. He's from William and Mary, a small school, so he's going to have to adjust to the competition level. All college players have to do that, but it's a bigger adjustment for a guy coming from a small school. The talent is there though. He's 6'5" with just under 35-inch long arms, 310 pounds, and ran his 40 in just under 5.1 seconds. On defense, it looked like the outside corner position opposite Jacorian Bennett was going to be open at first. Then the Raiders signed Eric Stokes in free agency, and I thought if he's healthy, the Raiders just might have something there. Then the Raiders drafted Darian Porter in the 3rd round, and it got blown open again. Let's get rid of the myth about his height first, though. He's not 6'4". Porter is actually a hair under 6'3". He has 33-inch long vines for arms, though, and weighs 195 pounds. That's press corner material, isn't it? He ran a 4.3 40 too. Oh, it gets better. He's a former receiver that switched over to corner. He reminded Carroll so much of Richard Sherman you couldn't help but go ahead and grab him in the 3rd round. With that height, length, speed, and receiver hands, he could be something if he develops well. With those 4.3 wheels, he could be even better than Sherman. Stokes, for his part, was the Green Bay Packers' 2021 first-round pick and balled as a rookie. His next 2 years would be hampered by injuries, and last year he stayed healthy, so the Raiders are giving him a chance. Okay, we know receiver Jacoby Myers is going to start at one of the receiver positions. We also know he's not the number 1 receiver on the Raiders. That title belongs to tight end Brock Bowers. He was the most targeted player that played the receiver position last year, though, as he got the first 1,000-yard season of his career, so that's the role that's being threatened here. The Raiders took receiver Jack Bech in the 2nd round, and he does the same things Myers does. He's a possession receiver that's faster than Myers, but still not a burner by any stretch of the imagination. He dropped only 1 pass last year to 0 for Myers. He does the dirty work blocking like Myers too, but he's a little more physical when doing so. They may have even given him Myers' position outside too. If you listen to Spytek and Carroll at the press conferences, it sounds like Myers is a slot receiver. So with Trey Tucker on one side, Bech on the other, and Myers in the slot, the competition here is about who's going to get more targets. Bowers will get the most targets, but who's the next man down on the totem pole? Will it be Myers or Bech? Tucker has his own major competition coming. He's a deep threat that hardly ever got used last year because the Raiders didn't have a quarterback that could get it to him deep. He ran a 4.40 at the combine and a 4.29 in his pro day when he came up, and all that speed was going to waste. He had the same situation the year before, and now he finally has a quarterback to throw him the ball, but his role is being threatened by 4th-round pick Dante Thornton. Thornton is 6'5" to Tucker's 5'8" and ran a 4.30 at the Combine a few weeks ago, so he's 9 inches taller and just as fast. They say he didn't run the full route tree in college, but that's only partially true. He didn't in Tennessee's offense, but remember, he transferred from Oregon where he did run the full route tree. I'm sure he didn't forget how to run all those routes, and he has time between now and the season to work on it. But when you're the ultimate deep threat like Thornton's height and speed would suggest he is, how many different routes would you have him run? You know good and well you're going to have him going deep most of the time. And when he's not catching the ball, he's going to be clearing out for others. This one's more of a battle that no one has a position on. The perception of 2023 first-round pick Tyree Wilson isn't very good, but it isn't his fault. The previous regime knew he wasn't at full strength when they picked him, so they were planning on redshirting him in year one. However, that plan went out the window when then fellow edge rusher Chandler Jones flew over the cuckoo's nest. That made Wilson have to play too early, and he looked pretty bad. Then last year, which should have been his first year playing, he actually made some progress. His run defense and pass rush got better. He ended up starting 4 games last year. One reason he made all those starts is Malcolm Kuntz, who sacked the quarterback 8 times the second half of the 2023 season, got injured before the season started. This one's pretty hard to call. Kuntz is coming off a torn ACL, and while guys often come back from that pretty well and pretty quickly, not everyone does. That's a full season without playing, so rust could be a factor too. And Wilson, well, he wasn't polished enough as of last year, so we'll see how this one plays out. When Carroll first became the coach of the Raiders, he said he wants competition everywhere and they're going to compete every day. The obvious is the obvious though. Guys like Crosby and Wilkins on the defense and Smith and Genty on the offense are going to have their positions. But guys like Palmer are competing for his starting spot and a roster spot. Glaze is competing for a guard and tackle spot. We'll see who wins the corner spot on the other side of Bennett. Myers is competing for his spot in the pecking order catching passes, and Tucker's fighting for his role as the main deep threat. Then there's Kuntz and Wilson for the opposite edge of Crosby. Thank you for watching. See you next time.